So my name's Cordy, and my hair is becoming more and more of an issue, and just don't know what to do about it, obviously. So I wanted to do a quick video today. Normally on Friday, I do a video showing you 7 chords that you might not have played before. But last night I was watching Eric Johnson talk about a thing that he was asked about on his YouTube, or thing that people ask him about, and he was talking about the key of D major, and he was talking about how he does his chord kind of improvisation, going between chords and lead playing, and the stuff that is kind of my favourite aspect of his playing, or one of my favourite aspects of his playing. So like at the start of Cliffs of Dover was the example that he gave. Cliffs of Dover is not my favourite tune of his, but I do really like that intro stuff, especially on, I think there's a tuition video that he did where he plays some of that stuff, and I think it's really cool, really beautiful stuff. But there's some things that I think he didn't really tell you in that video, and that's what I'm going to try and kind of demystify, the demystifying of the Eric Johnson video. So there's a few different keys to this stuff, but I think it only makes sense to kind of do one thing at a time, so you don't want to try and do the whole thing at once. So one of the key things to his playing is a thing called spread triads, and that is where those kind of spacey voicings come from. So I think quite a lot of what you hear Eric Johnson playing is him playing through these triad shapes that he knows, and the subsequent sound that they provide. So what I'm thinking of when I'm doing this stuff is not necessarily, I don't necessarily know exactly what each chord is going to sound like. But I do know that each of those is within the key of D major, and it's a shape that I've probably played in D major before, so I know that it should work, and then I'm just following the sound as it goes. So let me show you a few of these shapes. I'm going to show you probably each of the major and the minor things that you'd get in the major scale, and then also some of the inversions. So here's the first kind of shape that I think is worth learning. So we've got a D on the D string, an A here, and an F sharp. So a normal triad might look like this, and we've just moved that F sharp from up an octave. So that's a D major. We could also do that here, or here. There's one here as well. So we know that in our major scale, on the 1 we have a major, so the first degree of the scale, and then if we build triads off of the 4 and the 5, we also have another major. So in D that would be a G and an A, right? So G, A. So that's the major sounds kind of tackled in first, in our root inversion, if you will. So learn that. All over the neck. That's maybe step 1. Step 2, let's look at minor. So in D major we've got an E minor, we've got a B minor, and we've got an F sharp. So hopefully you can hear some of these sounds are coming together, and maybe hopefully there's like a slight light bulb kind of click if you didn't already know this stuff. So here's B minor, a B. We would normally have like a B, a D, and then that F sharp there. But we're going to move the F sharp up, the D up, sorry, an octave. And so just remember that shape is the way that I do it. That's my minor flavour, that's my major flavour. Then I'm moving around notes that I'm familiar with, so there's the E and the F sharp, E, F sharp, E, F sharp. So we've got, if we go through the scale, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, and now I might as well show you the first inversions that I use. So, what is an inversion? So if you've got your triad, you've got D, you've got F sharp, you've got A, we're going to start from the F sharp, A, D. So in the spread world, what we could do, so we're going to use the same rule as we made to arrive at this. So you play your normal triad, and you're going to move the second note of the triad up an octave. So we start with an F sharp, we would naturally have an A, we're going to move that one up an octave, and then we need a D. So that's our shape for a first inversion of a major triad. So learn those around the neck. Here's D. Our other major triads in D major again will be G. So that's the G first inversion spread triad. This one. Then got one here, haven't we? So learn those. Then our next major triad will be A, right? So then what you might try to do is join up those. So this is quite a simple way, I think, to start to do that kind of exploration thing that I think Eric Johnson does a lot of. So you start with your D, and you go to your next closest version, so that'll be an A. And then what would be next, maybe we might find, we've seen that there's a B minor triad just here, there's an A just here, and then there's a G here, and then there's a D in first inversion here, and then might move up to an E minor here. There's a G. So that, I think, is actually quite a useful kind of set of tools that, if you're interested in that Eric Johnson kind of thing, or even if you're trying to write pretty guitar parts, I think that is actually kind of a useful key to that Eric Johnson sound. What he's also doing is mixing in notes from the scale. Like, so maybe if you've got this in mind that you're going to end up in this triad, you could, or And then one other little thing that I'll just add to this is that you've got your major, your minor, your first inversion, and then what you can also do, and what I do quite a lot, is move this third down to an A if you're playing G, so you're playing like a sus or a 9 version of the triad. So instead of a G, a D and a B, you play a G, a D and an A. So those are things I think is worth checking out. If you're interested in this sort of thing, there's quite a lot of other lessons on the channel around chords. I've also got a Patreon where I put up the tabs and kind of exercise for this kind of stuff, as well as the backing tracks. But if you wanted to have these written down for you, I think hopefully I've made it so you could learn it from the video if you didn't want to support me going forward. But I'll put up the kind of tabs on Patreon, and if this was useful, I've got a buy me a coffee link, but only use that if you really got something out of the lesson or learnt something new and can afford it. If not, don't worry about it. It was just I saw that video last night from Eric, and I thought there's a kind of a few simple things that it's worth sharing for those people that, like me, are really interested in the Eric Johnson thing. And I think one of those is definitely this spread triad thing.